welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. In a democracy, the people hold the power. That's why we say it's power for the people, by the people, and of the people. But in Nigeria, where we practice a democracy, can you really say the people hold the power? And how much does politics come into play when it comes to the affairs of the everyday man? Where is the power? Who holds the power? And as we plan for the 2027 general elections, what's the polity in the air? What's the politics saying? To discuss this, I have with me in the studio a lawyer in the person of Wale Oshunde. Wale, welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thanks for having me.
Now, thank you for honoring our invitation. When we think about politics, when we think about power, do you believe that the people truly hold the power, or is it the politicians, or is it the institutions? Where does power lie?
So if you ask me that question in the context of a world perspective.
No, Nigeria
In
perspective.
Nigeria. So if we are to talk about it in the global perspective, I would say, of course, the people. All right. But if you bring it back home and you say, who is holding onto power or who holds power in Nigeria, I would say the political class, So obviously not the people. And I think the time has come for the people to truly know the weight of the power that they wield and that, they can actually dissipate through electioneering process. And they need to take this seriously right now because the highest office in the land is the office of the citizen. Unfortunately, the political class, through various machineries, through various mechanisms, have constantly and consistently, whittled down the power of the people. They have used tools such as religion, such as ethnicity, such as poverty, to whittle down the powers of the people. But in the real essence of things, if we are to really put things down on a scale, I think the people must know that they have so much power to determine what happens to them politically, what happens to them in terms of governance, what happens to them in terms of nation building. So I would say, really, the people should be, the real owners of powers, but in Nigeria, it is not so anymore.
So why do you think they give up that power so easily, or why is it so accessible by the political class?
I mean, like I told you, the political class have used certain tools to whittle down the powers of the people. Religion, we know the two prominent religions in this country, Christianity, Islam. When it is time for politics, you then see politicians moving around saying, oh, yeah, you are a Christian, I'm a Muslim. If you must be my vice president or deputy governor or vice chairman of a local government, you must be a Muslim or a Christian, all of those kind of things, right? And then they leave us fighting one another basically to settle that balance. Another thing that they use, of course, is poverty. So when the people are impoverished, extremely impoverished, they really cannot stand up to say, okay, yes, I want to vote this guy because he should be there, because I think that he has the character, the elements, the traits, of a good leader who is really going to help me and make life comfortable for everybody in our community. So what you then see is people buying votes, is people really trying to survive as against voting their conscience, all of those kind of things. And then another thing, like I said, is ethnicity. So you see a situation where you are not a Yoruba person, I just want to vote my brother because he's from a particular segment of the country or society. I think all of these are tools that politicians have discovered over time, and they have used these tools to whittle down the potency of the power of the people. And I think, like I said, the time has come for the people to congregate at that juncture where we tell ourselves core truth. And, it is to really tell ourselves, our brothers and our sisters, that we must begin to institutionalize the power that the people really hold in politics and in governance, And it is only until that time that we are able to really congregate at such a juncture that the country will really move forward.
When will that time come? And what needs to happen? Is there a zeitgeist on the horizon? Is there a turning point, or is it just going to be business as usual? Are we just going to keep having these same conversations over and over again, or is something going to actually give?
Unfortunately, if we don't take the bull by the horn and tell ourselves the real truths as citizens, it will never happen, because politicians are never going to give that chance, for people to really understand that they hold the real power in their hands, and that they can really determine what happens, who governs the country, who governs their societies, But I think for people who already know, people who are aware, of the existence of this power, of the existence of these rights, they are the ones who are supposed to galvanize the system, the structure across board, be it at a local government level, be it at a state level, or be it at even a federal level, all right, to ensure that we hold our political elites to account. If somebody is a senator, like that popular song, senators well. If you are a local government chairman, chairman as well, or chair as well, right? And if you're a governor, you should govern as well. And we really need to then hold our leaders to account, call them from time to time, ask them critical questions. Look, I believe that the political class also want to do some really positive things in the country, you see. And then we, as citizens, we must also ensure that we do not overload and overburden these people with demands that are not, in tandem with the spirit and the letters of the job that we have asked them to do. And I give you a very simple instance. We need a road that leads from zone A to zone B in a community. And whilst the governor is still trying to figure it out in terms of how to get the money, the people of that community, maybe if the governor goes there to visit them, people are expecting that when he's going, he has to drop something. He has to give them money. All right.
But do you think that people won't be as demanding
Yeah.
if they saw their politicians being judicious with the funds? Because there's this sense of, well, he's the one or she's the one enjoying the largesse. So let me also have my own piece of the national cake. If our politicians are cutting their coats to size, do you think the Nigerian citizens will still demand for those handouts?
So two-pronged approach. One would be that the leaders should lead by example. When you're telling people to take things easy, to bear with the government, we should be seeing that you're also doing the same. That's one. And then number two, you must be sincere with your programs and policies, right? If you're telling the people, look, we're going to figure this out, we're going to sort your roads, we're going to sort healthcare, we're going to sort education, we should see that you are indeed making efforts, you are making moves to make all of these things happen. So I think it goes hand in hand. When you're telling the people to bear with the government and that you are really going to do some of these policies and programs, we should see that from your own perspective, you are leading by example, and then again, you are putting in the right policies and the right programs towards ensuring that those things, those critical items that you have highlighted to the people are delivered to them. I think Nigerians are extremely patient people. From what I can see, a lot of things going on in this country that can never happen in other countries. The country would have blown up, right? But Nigerians are extremely patient people. They are extremely persevering people, and they are very hardworking people. So with all of these ingredients, I think with the right kind of government and people in offices, leadership, I think all of these will come together really.
As we approach the 2027 elections, all eyes are on who's going to be next governor, at least in a state like Lagos, where Governor Sanwo-Olu will be completing his second term. All eyes are going to see if the opposition is going to bring out a credible candidate that can challenge the incumbent. Do you think the turn-by-turn politics is what Nigerians should be expecting, in the sense that, okay, when it's time for the North, we do the North. When it's time for the South, we do the South. Or should it be a true meritocratic process where it doesn't matter whether you're from the North or the South, the East or West? If you're good for the job, then you should, and you don't need to wait your turn.
So to be honest with you, and I tell you my personal view, I think at the federal level, we need to structure in some balancing. Because if we don't do so, then we might find ourselves in a situation where a particular segment of the society or the country is constantly and consistently, in office, all right, and leading the land, right? So I think that from the federal system that we are saying we are running, if it is truly federal in nature, then we need to amend the Constitution, because the Constitution right now says anybody can actually contest an election. So once you think you want to contest, just go ahead. But I think that we need to amend our constitution to allow for some balancing, right? And then it should be southern and then northern balancing, all right? Because we need to be realistic and then, wake up to the reality of our climb, right? We have some people from the north, some people from the south. So why not put in a bit of balance in there such that, once somebody does his own term, but I'm in favor of just one single tenure of 5 years, all right? I don't believe in, 2 years or 4 terms each, right? So I believe one term, 5 years, somebody from the north, he pilots the affairs of the country, he leaves the place, somebody from the south should also come in, and, like that. I think it is really good for our nation. But when it comes to the state and local governments, I do not see how we want to really put in that sort of balancing.
But that actually happens on a state level. In a state where you have different ethnicities or different tribes, there tends to be a rotation. Okay, so this time the governorship is given to a certain tribe, then it moves to another tribe so that there's that balance. So why are you okay with that on a federal level and not so much a state level?
Exactly, because there is really no way to partition the state. When I look at it, so tell me, someone in Lagos, for example, how are we going to partition that? Are we going to say island, mainland? Or...
Ikorodu, Badagry. You could say, oh, what are the senatorial districts? Yeah. You know them, Ikorodu, yes. Badagry, Apapa, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, Surulere. Has each of these senatorial districts produced a governor? That could be another way to look at it.
Anyway, well, I think that is actually very factual. If we are to look along the lines of senatorial districts, being that we have 3 senatorial districts per state, all right? So that can actually work, and I will probably vote for it, all right? But, I'm just looking at, Lagos as an example on a flat scale right now, I'm just looking at it. How are we really going to segment it? Do we say people from the island or the mainland? But I think you have actually preferred a possible solution to it.
No, I'm just going back to what you're saying, that federal, we should do the turn by turn. The north one time, the south, the east, the west, so that one group is not marginalized and one is not very dominant. Yeah. And I think once you start on the federal, the same thing is expected. Even when you look at things like ruling families, they tend to rotate depending on the culture. Now, how do we disabuse the minds of Nigerians to look beyond the money involved and vote who their candidate is? Because a lot of times, these politicians incentivize people's voting decisions with money. Yeah.
So I think that's a brilliant one. The truth is that we can only talk to our brothers and sisters. Politicians are never going to stop doing these things, but we need to talk to our brothers and sisters at, community levels, at, local government level, even ward levels, right? To let them know that, look, this money would only help you for one day, or maybe less than a day, Somebody gives you 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira. What exactly can that buy? And then you sell your conscience. You sell the next 4 years, probably even more, because of 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira. Whilst I know that that money is big money to some people, because we need to be very realistic with the level of poverty in our society today, it's a lot of money to some people for a day or even a week, right? Or even a month, in some cases. But we need to then let them know there are pros and cons to all of these things. And mostly, in fact, we have a lot of disadvantages, because I can't really see what the positive side of collecting 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira from a politician for the next 4 years would be, all right? So, but through constant and consistent engagement with these people, sensitization, letting them know, look, you collect this 5,000 naira, it is the future of your children. This guy would definitely want to recoup his money. He's investing, and then he needs more money. That's why they will still loot the entire treasury before another cycle of elections. So I think we just need to continue to orientate our people, talk to our sisters, talk to our brothers. If you look at it, Nigeria as a country, we are closely knit. I come from a particular local government, you are from somewhere. If we all then go back on galvanized support in favor of, meritocracy, in favor of, voting our respective consciences, I think it will resonate someday. And then, of course, one last thing would be that the government should be sincere. There should be a law punishing people who are caught for vote buying. There is a law at the moment, but it is not implemented. So how do we then ensure? I'm in support, for example, for the creation of special courts, all right, to prosecute electoral offenses. How do we ensure that we galvanize support, towards ensuring that that is a reality? When that becomes a reality, election violators will be punished within a specified period of time, short period of time, such that they can then become the examples that people are yearning for, right? When I see that somebody has gone to prison, somebody has been arrested, somebody has been arraigned in court, when I'm then talking to my brothers and sisters at home, it resonates. They get to understand that the law is not just going to punish the person who has given or offered, the law is also going to punish the receiver, of that money. And nobody really wants to go to prison.
But don't you think that sometimes justice does take its time going through the court system? And how transparent have these proceedings been? Do you still have faith in the courts? Because a lot of times these politicians go to the polls and the next thing, as the result is being declared, they are going to the appeal court to go and challenge the decisions. And that hasn't always worked in their favor. So what's the guarantee that a special court will be any different?
I tell you one thing, Isabella, look, and people have actually narrated all sorts of formats for this. Look for honest, very people of massive integrity in this country, ex-judges or retired judges, let them be, in charge of these special courts that will try electoral offenders or violators. I tell you, and give them a time frame. Just like in the issue of electoral petition matters, you have to decide it within a specific period of time. Also let them know that if you are trying electoral offenses, they need to be dispensed with within a particular period of time. Once that is written in a particular law, don't take it to a regular court. The judges in the regular courts are already overloaded with work. Let's be honest with ourselves. Can we then set up fresh, different courts to prosecute, electoral offenses? Give them time frames, write down straightforward laws, and then I tell you this thing would move. It would move very fast, right? Let it be ex-judges, people who are already old. They are not looking for anything. They are not likely to be influenced by any politician, because at that point in time, they know it's about service to the nation. And they know that, look, they're already at the body lounge, I'm just trying to put it very nicely. So if you put someone who is 70 years old, in such a court, and he knows that people are watching, and let it be televised live. People are watching, media is covering this thing every day, and it is definitely going to tell on his integrity at the end of the day. I'm telling you, things will move in this country, and then politicians would know. You just need to make one example of someone, that's all. Just one example, and people will sit up. Not only politicians, even ordinary citizens. You see, we play with the law a lot because we do not see real justice in sight. A lot of people just do whatever they like because they feel, look, what is going to happen if I do it? And then, like you said, you take me to court, it stays there for 7 years, it stays there for 13 years. When I was just called to the bar, I went to court the first day, I was told that there was a land case that was in court for 20 years. Can you imagine that? People have even died, in the family that is litigating.
Not to mention all the money that will be spent. That makes lawyers like you happy because you're getting paid, but people have to wait years before they see justice.
It's really unfair, but I tell you one thing. If people see speedy dispensation of justice, speedy processes, you'd see that even nobody would need to go to any lawyer at some point, I'm telling you. Or maybe it would be very, very minimal, But people don't see real justice in this country. It is only someone who has stolen something small, something little, and then we blow it out of proportion. Of course, the law should take its course. But then those ones who have stolen billions, they would hire the best lawyers and then, wiggle out of it, and nothing happens. That does not show good example to the people. I think that is actually the crux of the matter.
And you mentioned the media. How much can the media play in informing the citizens, but also holding the ruling class accountable?
A lot. The media can do a lot. Look, nobody can even... I don't think we can quantify the role of the media here, I'm telling you. And you see that on Channels TV, for instance, they're doing quite a lot. You see all sorts of programs, interviewing people, calling on governments and government officials to do certain things. And you see these things being implemented, I'm telling you. But if nobody is talking, nobody is saying anything, I tell you, we'll just carry on with business as usual. But I think the real message is that when the media is really ready, and they partner with civil society organizations and even the office of the citizen. By that, I mean everybody gets on board. I tell you, when we push, the politicians will listen. I know they listen, but only when people congregate at a juncture that makes them know that we are serious about certain demands. And that's exactly what has worked. If you look at the demand structure in this country, it is only when people come together and they tell the leaders, this is what we want. We want this at all costs. Even when it is not easy and convenient for the leaders, they make things happen.
I believe that's commendation, but also motivation for us in the media to keep up the work in shining the light on these very important issues. And hopefully it will move beyond the talk to actually seeing real change and action that will benefit this country. Thank you very much, Wale Oshunde, for being our guest on Rubbin Minds.
Really pleasure. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. We will now go on a quick break on Rubbin Minds. Do not go anywhere as the show continues when we return. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Now, these days, it seems like there's an answer for every question you might have on the internet, whether it's knowing the right prompt for AI to answer, or it's doing a search, or it's just going to any of the popular social media platforms and putting out a question and then you get answers. Now, when it comes to health, do you believe that health should be traditional? You should go to the doctor to go and speak to someone, or is it okay to just go online and get medical advice, get medical help by the online space or the online medical community? There's a lot of debate, especially when it comes to factual information, the role of influencers, and verification of medical facts. To discuss the whole online being convenient or maybe traditional being the right way forward when it comes to the medical profession. I have with me an obstetrician and gynecologist in the person of Dr. Tokwe Omotoyinbo. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
It's our pleasure to have you here. So when it comes to the whole online doctors, is it a compromise? Are we really compromising, or should we be looking at convenience? Because when the numbers are shocking, how little we have in way of medical professionals to our large population. So should we be embracing this online medical help, or are we compromising in any way?
Okay, thank you for the question. I believe there should be a moderation between seeking help or medical advice outside the confines of the hospital, because there are some, we can go overboard. But sometimes it's necessary that people get quick response to their questions before they seek medical advice, or before they can get to the hospital. So there's a level of moderation that we should achieve, so that we do not go on too extreme, especially outside the confines of medical professionals giving the advice.
So when you say moderation, where do you draw the line? Because these days you can ask AI and you can say, AI, I have a headache, ChatGPT, what should I take? And AI can say, well, go and take maybe 2 tablets of paracetamol, and then you go ahead and do that. Who's going to moderate the AI? Who's going to moderate what comes up in searches? Who's moderating some of your professionals who are now health influencers?
Okay. I think there's a level at which there are some issues that can only be addressed inside the hospital. For example, surgeries. Some people, they believe like fibroid in my own profession, my own specialty. Fibroids, some people use medical apps for fibroids. But there are some conditions that can only be addressed by surgery. In such cases, it is best to visit the hospital, because people can overdo things. Sometimes people put past corrosive agents into their private part and it gums together. So there are some conditions that can only be addressed by surgery, like hernias can only be addressed by surgery. In such cases, no apps can address that. So in such cases, they have to go to the hospital. But some maybe how to be hygienic can be offered on other platforms like the AI and social media. How to be hygienic, some things that will not involve taking drugs. So when it involves taking drugs, it should be addressed by professionals who have been trained in those areas.
It's interesting you should mention, use of herbs in treating some ailments. When we do have medically published information online, it doesn't always get the traction. But when you have something packaged, maybe somebody mixing the herbs, coming to give a testimonial of how these herbs has cured maybe the fibroids or a particular ailment, more people are willing to go with that. Why do you think there's such a disconnect between what is published formally and what is seen as traditional medicine and when you have these alternative medicine?
I believe we are still deeply cultural in this part of the world. And people will go more with offers that we tell them about what to do and things that are passed down. For example, people have used one herbs and they have testimonials about how effective it was. So people can easily get attached or attracted to such comments compared to having a words or maybe scientific journals that were written in English or in scientific language that people cannot relate to. So it's about relatability. So people can relate to these herbs and testimonial stories from people who have used it before, and they are able to give a response whether it's true or not. Sometimes some of these things are not really effective, but if they have one or two people that can give, maybe allude to whether they've used it before, people are really willing to use it themselves. So I believe that's why we also, as influencers, we must also try to borrow from this pattern that people are using to put testimonials into our content, to put more stories to our content, to also say it in languages that people can understand. People not only in English, and we have a couple of people who are speaking, addressing people, giving information in Yoruba, in Pidgin, in Hausa language, so that people can relate to it. I believe this is a very nice approach.
And another issue why some people might want to turn to online doctors or online medical health influencers is simply cost. When they think about how much you're going to spend on transportation to get to the hospital, probably wait for hours to be seen, and then they have all sorts of monies to be paid, do this test, buy these drugs, you have to be admitted. Then they're like, why do I have to spend all that money when I can just get it for a fraction online?
Yes, you are very correct. People will put more preference on cost and convenience. People can easily take out your phone and get information online compared to when you have to travel all over, wait on a queue to see doctors who are overworked. Sometimes
Yes.
they can't even explain some things for you. They can't express the way you want to. Everybody wants to be cared for personally, regardless of how many patients they have on ground. So when you are approaching them, when you are treating them, when you are giving them some medical advice or prescribing drugs, you have to go into detail. But sometimes doctors are not able to do it because of they have a queue of patients they have to address. So people are really able to, when they are able to access this information at their own convenience, they easily go for that. And sometimes the cost of care, cost of surgery, for example, people prefer to, as I've said, people prefer to use herbs for some things that can only be addressed by surgery because they felt, why should I pay for this when I can easily get a drug that can treat it? When you see people coming to the hospital, there are some conditions that they will tell you, doctor, you tell them this is what we want to do for this. This thing will require surgery. They will tell you, there is no drug that can cure it. It's like having a clothes that is torn and you are using drugs to cure. That cannot address the situation. There are some things that can solely be addressed by surgery, and there's a line that we can draw in between those ones and other things that can be addressed pharmacologically or with drugs.
So where do we draw the line between what is working and what isn't, in the sense that a lot of times people go online and they see that all these other things are working, and yet you're coming here to say, oh, these things are not working, these things are not, and it's like, oh, but my grandmother did it, my great-grandmother did this, my great-grandmother did it. So how are they able to know, okay, it didn't work or it actually did? Because that confusion tends to be there. No matter how much content you create to try and say, oh, this thing you must do is surgery, there's always someone that has a story or a relative that can prove otherwise.
Okay, thank you for the question. Some of these measures that people take outside orthodox medicine just give temporary relief, and sometimes the long-term effect. For example, some herbs, it can cause kidney damage in the long run. So people may not picture that because they want immediate relief for their conditions. But sometimes some of these other measures can cause a long-term complication. So there's a line we should draw. For example, case of that can be addressed by surgery, or incurable diseases that can only be managed, that cannot be cured. You know, sometimes people have breast cancer and they use herbs. They feel like I'm relieved. Over in the next maybe 1-2 years, it recurs because it's not addressed. It's just a temporary relief. So sometimes some of these things might work, but they have not been proven, or the extent to which they work is just minimal. And sometimes they may, people may have different etiologies, but their measures can only address one part, but leaves another part, which may be the more dangerous part. So sometimes all these measures it's not that they really work, but they just give temporary relief. And people, when they see something that is bitter, they feel like something that is bitter, something that shakes their body a bit, they feel like I'm okay. Sometimes some of these apps that we talk about, some people put orthodox medicine inside it. Some people put something that are really actually medical advice. They put it inside those combinations. So all those things, when someone is having pain and the content that you use, maybe an herb has been mixed with something, maybe a drug, gives a temporary relief for the pain, the person feels I'm okay, I'm better. But in the long run, the things can recur or cause more complications.
So there's a need for education. Would you say that the medical community is doing enough to educate people so that they don't end up making these mistakes? Or even if they choose to opt for these medicines, they know that, oh, this is just a temporary relief, or there are side effects to these things?
Thank you very much for the question. I believe we are doing a lot, but it's not yet enough. You need more people to go into this space, and there should be a balance, like a tug of war. When you pull negative or inappropriate information and appropriate ones, there should be a balance. So more health professionals should go outside. Sometimes people who are health content creators. For example, I run a women's health on Twitter. So you see some people coming up, even other medical professionals coming up and say, why are you giving this information to the people? But I believe that more people should come on board and address this condition so that people will have enough information to choose from. I believe we are doing a lot. People are, as I've said earlier, people are engaging content with stories, with comedies, with native languages, so that people can really relate with this. So we are doing a lot, but more people should come on board. And like you are doing now is a very commendable material and should be continued. Thank you.
Thank you. How much do you see technology replacing some of the work that you're doing? Because you mentioned that you're on X, you're providing advice. What's next tomorrow? AI can do exactly everything that you're doing. How much do you see technology maybe even replacing the medical profession in the coming years?
I believe there might be a very substantial, I won't call it replacement, but it's still a work in progress, and it's still collaborative. So I believe it will not totally eliminate the need for physical doctors, but it's still collaborative. For example, if you seek information on maybe a ChatGPT or any AI, they tell you after the information they give you, consult doctors. So there's still a reference, a referral to the doctor. So it can't absolutely replace the profession, but there will be a collaborative effort between the doctors and these AI innovations. So it can't totally eliminate. There will still be areas that we need to come in and do the physical. For example, surgery. AI, no matter how
you don't think we'll have robots that would go and perform these surgeries?
Robots, even while they perform surgeries, still under the supervision of a doctor. There's still a human face behind those robots that are working. So they can't absolutely replace the medical professionals.
Do you ever feel threatened? Do you feel that less people would depend on you, your advice, seek your services, or do you welcome the rapid adoption of technology in this space?
Yes, I think it should be something that should be adopted, because we ourselves, we we use AI for some information, and it can also help. For example, people can easily release the workload on the doctors. But when the people really need doctors to come in, they will come in. But at the point, some AI can still give some preliminary measures people can take and also inform them about their health. But still, they cannot totally replace the need for medical professionals.
Yeah. Even when you're being advertised to drugs, they always say after certain days, consult a doctor. So there's always going to be that need to consult a doctor. Whether that will happen physically within the confines of a hospital or will happen online on a social media platform, the role of the doctor, from what you said, is unreplaceable and is still critical even with the adoption of technology. Thank you very much, Dr. Tokpe Omotoyibo, for sharing your views and contributing to the conversation.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We will now go on a quick break on Rubbin Minds. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Now, our next guest and our final guest for our entertainment segment is the king of spices. He's been a tech bro, a chef, a developer, a photographer, a bundle of talents, and he was recently housemate in the Big Brother Naija Season 10, 10 over 10 house. We're now joined by Otega Eritomi. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure having you. Wow, you are a bundle of talents. I was reading like chef, photographer, tech bro. I mean, what's next? You've done Big Brother, so are we going to add actor to it? Are we going to act influencer?
Sure.
Yeah. So tell us.
I'm open to acting, event hosting, maybe a little bit of radio too. But yeah, I think I'm open to voiceover acting too. Yes, a lot of that.
Okay. How have you been able to navigate the different shifts?
Okay, so I usually say this. I'm an artist. My deepest core is an artist. So different forms of, these are all different forms of art to me.
Yeah.
Right? So the photography thing is more like a hobby. I like to see people through a lens. So yes, that's more like a hobby. And I did it at some point commercially, but then I was like, yeah, I really don't think I want to sell pictures. So it became a hobby. Now the tech thing, that was my job for like since 2012 to up to like 2020, 2021. I kept doing it on the side, even when I switched to food. So food for me she's my first love. That's how I put it. She's my first love. Every time I think of a recipe or every time I'm tasked to create something, it brings out the best. She brings out the best in me. That's how I'm going to phrase it.
Food is your first love.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that people expect more from you and they see cooking or food as a side hustle or a woman's thing as opposed to what you quit tech to go to the kitchen and start cooking?
That's a very beautiful question. Thank you very much. Yes, people would always have their opinions, but I believe if you stay true to yourself, that's what's most important, right? I've been around too many people to understand that you don't please people. If I meet one person today, the person says, oh, you should have stayed in tech. I meet somebody else tomorrow, you should really pursue food. It becomes a clash. So what do I really want, which is the most important thing? I think food for me is what I really want. It's not a woman thing, it's a life skill. And for me, a friend said to me that you're blessed with the gift of cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
The king of spices himself. I remember watching this, I'm like, this thing must be so flavorful. See the way
no.
yeah, eating the bone. Is it the garlic? What's in that?
So I like to create things, but one of my favorite form of protein is pork. I like pork a lot. And that was pork ribs. And it tasted really good.
It looks very, very juicy.
So yeah,
like
I tend to pour myself into food, like the love, the art, the spices, everything for me is a story. Food is a story to me. So every food has a background story. So that's how I tend to present food to people. I like people to experience food and not just to eat it. Like experience it, feel it. You get to taste the notes, the aromas, everything, the herbs, the spices, everything in it.
A full-on experience,
Yes,
not
full-on
just
experience, not
satisfied
just-
hunger.
Yes, don't eat because you're hungry. Eat because you're trying to experience something. And that's the goal of myself and other chefs in Nigeria. We're trying to highlight the importance of our food to the world. We don't want people to commonize. Because we eat egusi every day does not mean egusi is not a culinary dish. Egusi takes a lot of technique to create. I keep saying it. I've had more bad egusi than really good ones. Yeah, because people don't understand if you do not cook your egusi enough, it becomes a laxative. Yeah, so
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it's why most people react badly to if they eat egusi outside their house. So you need to
didn't know
properly
that.
fry it till the oils come out from the melon seeds. Yeah, so basically there's a whole technique to cooking egusi. It looks very simple, but it's very, very technical. So we want to be able to spotlight our dish, teach foreigners, and also bring people here to experience food in Nigeria as tourism. So that's the goal for most of us. as chefs.
I can totally see it.
Yeah.
I also trained as a chef, and I know how much food can serve as tourism
Yes.
because we eat Chinese food, we
A
eat
lot.
Italian food, we
People
eat.
travel to
Yes.
destinations just to experience food. Why can't people say, I want to go to Nigeria to experience food? And we give them a proper experience from akara to suya to ewa going to kokoro to bakery to every single food, every single meal made in Nigeria, every single staple is very important to the ecosystem. So that's how we see it. We don't want to commonize food. We don't eat. Africans don't eat because we are hungry. We create, and that's the goal of. That's my own gospel.
So you say you're the king of spices.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite spice? Or favorite spices? Do you have your favored ones and the ones that you send to the naughty corner sometimes?
So if I'm trying to do something and I want to impress, Uziza is my favorite go-to.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep telling people with the leaf and the peppercorns, I could do a lot with Uziza. It is very floral, very earthy, and has a little bit of heat to it. So, in fact, I keep saying if you're going to cook chicken, if you're going to cook meat, add Uziza to it. You will love it.
I'm taking that. I
You
do
will
love
definitely- yeah,
uziza
Uziza
because
has a very beautiful
it gives
aroma.
that kick to soups. But you know, now that you say it,
It's
put it
more
in
like that's
in
one of my
protein.
secret ingredients.
Ah, okay.
And then maybe if you're gonna do pepper soup, pepper fruit.
Pepper fruit. Okay,
Yeah,
that
the
peppery,
one in
the
pot.
red
Yeah,
one.
the red, the green one.
Wow.
It just gives a floral note to
Wow.
it. You can decide to dry the seeds and blend it, or you can just decide to just pound it and put it in like that. It's going to infuse into the peppers, but you can scoop it out, and it elevates that dish.
I almost feel like we're on a food show now. This is what happens when you have chefs talking. But was there a strategy going into the Big Brother
No.
house that you were going to pepper them with floral notes and
No,
earthy spices and all that jazz?
So the thing is, because food is my first love, I cannot neglect her from time to time. I basically do not like going into the kitchen when there's a whole lot of people, because I feel like it staples. It brings me back. I like quietness when I'm working in the kitchen. I like to be able to think through all the hurdles, right? So for me, the only time I got to cook, I know how many times I cooked in the house. There were like 5 times out of the 3 weeks I was in the house, right? But the only time I got to cook in the house was just because we did not have enough ingredients, and now somebody who has experience has to navigate, else we're all going to starve. So that was the only time I had walked into the kitchen. I was like, okay, we have to create this. We made mashed potato, we made ewa going, we made a lot of things, but it was just because there was no availability of some materials, and now I have to improvise.
But how did you take it, seeing some of the cooking experiments, to put it very mildly, happening in the kitchen in the name of cooking? And how are you able to hold yourself back to say, no, don't do that like that, don't add that much seasoning, or don't put so much? Yeah.
So for me, I'd only just tell you the truth. Okay, you shouldn't use this for this, you should use this for this. But also I'm open to learning, so I tend not to over-analyze things. We could create something new from you making a mistake. So I was open to trying everything healthy.
Do you think this worked against you? Do you think if you had come in fully in...
So the thing is, what you love, you protect. A lot of times, I've seen people go on the show and come out as chefs. For me, I was a chef before going on the show, right? And I figured if I used it as a strategy, I would rubbish the career that I've built over time. It's not a strategy. It's not a means to an end. It's just who I am as a person. So if you get to see that's who he is, he's not trying to pretend. And for me, the whole experience was meant to be authentic. I did not want to water down myself, neither did I want to pretend to be somebody else. So that's why food was never a strategy. I figured if Nigerians will love you, they should fall in love with more of his creativity than me pretending to use people's stomachs to my advantage, yes.
So no to using that chef strategy.
No. My mother used to say, never use food to control people. Food should not be something, should not be a tool in your hand. So we give out freely come, freely go.
What about relationships?
No.
I mean, let's talk Thelma, let's talk...
relationships.
Yeah, Sabrina,
So, to be honest, I did not think of going into a relationship while going into the house. I believe in anomalies. People say, oh, you shouldn't have gone to the house. You didn't want to play the game. I was like, no, I don't have to play the game. You want me the way you want me to play the game, right? I went into the house and I experienced a whole lot of things, and it shaped my mind and consciousness, right? So for me, bonding with these people could have been taken out of context.
Bonding,
yes.
Is that what it's now?
It is bonding. It is chemically bonding.
But I mean, you could bond with everybody, but you chose select people from the female gender to bond with.
Yes.
And all so platonic? There weren't any deeper feelings to it? Or?
At first, they were all platonic, right? I don't know if there's any deeper feeling, but I mean, let's watch it.
What are we watching? Who are we watching? Where's your heart?
My heart is in my chest. But
or should I say, who is in your heart from the house?
If I were to give a sneak peek, she's Calabari. That's how I'll put it.
You don't want to say anything
more?
No,
I don't want to call anybody's name. But she's Calabari. Yeah, that's in my heart.
What I'm tempted to say is, Destiny's Child said, say my name, say my name.
Okay.
So you don't want to say her name.
No,
you want to leave us guessing.
Yeah, I don't want to put her on the spot. Yeah.
Why? Is this under wraps? Are you ashamed?
No, I can never be ashamed of beauty. Love is beautiful, so you should never be ashamed of love.
So there's love.
Yes, there's love.
There's a commitment.
Eventually.
There's a ship. Eventually, like when she comes out of the house?
When we both get on the same page of what we want.
What do you want and what does she want?
I think for me, I want a partner to do life with, and I think she wants the same thing. We just have not sat down to talk about it. So, yeah.
A partner to do life with, that sounds like marriage.
Yes, that is marriage.
So marriage could be on the cards. We could have another BBN husband and wife.
Eventually.
Okay.
I mean, if you ask me, who would I ask? It's just God. God is the one writing the story. So wherever the story takes me is where I will go to. I can only feel and pursue those feelings. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one who has the final say.
Yeah. Are there any, or is there anything you would do differently looking back at your experience, or in hindsight, or now outside watching the show? Would you have played the game a bit differently?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, so the thing is, I don't think I would have done anything different, aside maybe, I don't think I wanted to dial myself down, neither did I want to do more than expected. I just wanted everybody to get an individual experience, and for me, I think I did. Even coming out of the house and hearing some of my other housemates talk about me, it just gives me this form of light, because at the end of the day, it's all love for me. I'm very big on loving people, so I wasn't going to go there to tear down any walls or tear down anybody. I was just going to go there, be myself, and again, if Nigeria or the world is not ready for my kind of style, it's not me that's going to It's not me that's the problem. So
Okay.
yeah. I
So
didn't think
my
so.
final question, because we're almost out of time,
problem.
who would you put your money on? Who do you want to win, and who do you think should win?
Okay, so I have two people that I
Okay.
really would really love. If I could share the money between and do the
Oh,
game
wow.
between both of them, I would do it. I would really want to see Faith or Dede win. Yeah, my money is on those people, Faith or Dede. If it's going to, in fact, share it between both of them. Just give it to Faith or Dede. I really would really want to see them win.
Wow. Well, we wish you all the
Thank you
best
very
with
much.
your many pursuits, voiceover acting, the culinary exploits, and also your love for photography.
Thank you
And
very much.
who knows, we might have a couple here back on the show soon when you both align, Calabari style.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Otega
Thank you very
Iritomi.
much. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's where we'll be ending the episode of Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji. Remember, you can follow the conversation online using the hashtag Rubbin Minds. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Goodbye.